Hi, this is Emma. Thank you for joining us again for another Make It Card Monday video. For this card, I'm going to use the Magical Unicorn stamp set from My Favorite Things, and I'm also going to be using the die cuts that go along with this stamp set. I'm going to stamp my images onto my Copic paper, and then I'm using my Copic marker hand color chart to pick the colors that I'm going to be using. I referenced it to the background paper that I chose. It's got some clouds, some blues, and some little bit of purples and colors in there. So those are the colors I pulled out for my cards. When I color, I don't really have one specific way of coloring. If the image is really small, I usually start with my shades first and then fill it in with my lighter colors. I find that easier. If my images is really big, then I start with my lighter color and put in my shades after. So it just kind of depends on your coloring style. I'm going to fast forward through this really quickly here, and I'm just going to keep on coloring. For the little windows, I used a really light E00, and I just don't always like the stark white that white images or white areas leave. I find that sometimes it's a little too harsh or it looks unfinished. So I just quickly colored my windows in. In the video you can't really see that they're colored in comparison because of the far awayness of it, but they are a little bit colored in. Just gives it a little bit warmer glow. I'll do the same with the clouds and the unicorn later on in the video. Yellows with me here, but I pull out a darker yellow, a Y17. I don't always buy my markers in sets of 3, so I don't always have the 3 consecutive colors. So the Y13 and the Y17 have a color in between that I do not have, or they have actually maybe a couple. But what I do is I borrow from the dark yellow with my light yellow, and I kind of mix it and add that in-between color onto my paper with it. Of the unicorn, I'm going to move on and do his body. Like I said, I don't like leaving him completely white because I feel like he looks a little unfinished. So I take my light E00 and I shade him in with that light little peachy skin kind of color. You could always use a C or a T, but they are much cooler colors. They're grays. I like the light beigey skin fleshy tone for a white. Sometimes I feel it's much warm. I'm going to place my die cuts over my images. I've done it the other way around before, where I've die cut them first, stamped, and then colored. This I stamped, colored, and then die cut. I think I prefer this method much better. It's a little easier, and I have more surface area to color my images in. It's not a teeny tiny little image that's already die cutted out. cloud paper that I'm going to use for the background of my shaker card, but I need to make a border to add the cellophane to it. So I'm going to use a peachy, well, I wouldn't call it a peachy, just an off-white cardstock. Again, I don't want to use just white. I find it too stark for this kind of card. I'd like it a little warmer. And I'm going to use my die, my frame, my scalloped frame die cuts that I just purchased, and I love them because they make making cards like this super easy and super fun. I'm gonna cut out the background, so I already have it measured out. I need to measure it out to that frame, so I'm just checking the size of it. Marking it down a little bit. I'm just making a mark halfway through, flip it over, put the rest of it up. And it fits perfect. I also need a background color to go behind my framed shaker bit of the card. Oh, here in this process, I realized I should have stamped my reading, my sentiment on first before putting the card together. I actually end up stamping it on at the end, which made it much more difficult. You'll see later on in the process video. But this is the moment where I would stamp my sentiment right onto my cellophane, let it dry, then I would glue it onto the frame and put the card together. My foam backings, or my little foam sticky bits, is too wide to go behind this frame, so I stick it on a piece of parchment paper. It just makes it easier to cut, and I cut skinny little strips off of it that I'm going to stick behind the frame. I want double the thickness layers, so they're going to go twice, like two on top of each other. I just gotta be a little creative and finicky with it here. Background color for the back of the frame and the main shaker part. Also, I want the scallop frame to stand out from the main card, from the base card, which is just going to be a white textured cardstock. So I picked the purple because I like the way it looks together, and I'm just going to cut it out a little bigger than the frame itself because I want it to stand out. Pieces together, and there is a plain white cardstock paper that I thought maybe I would use, but it's too flimsy for the base of the card, so I like using some thicker cardstock, and this is the big thick textured white cardstock, which is my favorite to use for cards. I use it a lot. I like the white backgrounds, I like that it's textured, I like that it doesn't look so plain. So I'm just measuring out my card, making sure that it's the right size when I have it folded up together. I wanted to add stars to my shaker card because stars to me are very magical, but I didn't have any sequin stars, so I'm just kind of creating my own. I got these little stars from my sister at a crop, and they are the negatives or the out bits from something she cut out of her silhouette using laminating paper. So she just keeps them, and I just added some color and then I set them aside to dry while I put the rest of my card together. Play around with your little figurines, your little colored shapes here for your card, and once you find a layout that you like, start gluing them down. I'm putting my castle, my rainbow, and my sun on the inside of the shaker card. My little unicorn is going to go on the outside of my shaker card. You also notice here that my little unicorn does not have his little wing attached to him. I forgot to put that on, and I end up doing that at the very end of the video after I finish the card and realize, oops, he's not my flying magical unicorn. So I do put that on later on. Here are my little stars I'm placing into the shaker card. And I'm trying to open up this package of sequences, which gives me so much trouble because I couldn't believe the amount of tape that was on there. And every time I thought it was ready to open, there was a new piece of tape I hadn't cut off. Translucent sequences because I like the lightness of them. There are some dark, sparkly really ones, but I like the translucent blue ones that go along with the translucent little yellow stars. As well because I think they match really well with the colors of the card. So I'm going to throw in some yellow ones to pop with the yellow, some green ones, some purples, some pinks, some whites. You can throw any colors in there you want. I add some more blues. Here my card is all put together and all the sequences are on the inside. My little unicorn is on the outside. He still doesn't have his wing. And this is where I realized, oh my goodness, I should have put my sentiment on at the beginning before I put the card together. Because now when I stamp my image using my Misty, which is super handy, I'm glad I had. I wouldn't have been able to do this process without it. It would have been much more difficult. It doesn't fully stamp on very fully because the card itself doesn't have anything to press on because the cellophane has a layer in between where all the sequences sit. So you see I only get a Y there, kind of a little bit of an O. I stamp it again. I had to tape it all down because my card kept popping off and sticking to the stamp itself. I get a bit more of an M, I get an A and a G, I get a little bit of top of an L, and then I realize this isn't going to work. So what I'm going to have to do is grab a Sharpie marker and color out my sentiment with my hand. already have half the sentiment stamped on, it makes it a little easier for me to follow the flow of the cursive writing. That Sharpie marker there is way too thick, so I grab my black skinny Copic marker and I start making out my letters. So with the L and the A, I lightly trace them out, kind of placing them where they're going to be. Then I start going over them, filling them in. And this is the end of the card. You are magical. Thank you for watching the video. Please don't forget to subscribe and join. Comment below if you have any questions. I'd love to hear from you.